In the heart of Rome, where St. Peter's Basilica now stands, there once was an ancient circus where Christians were thrown to beasts, and pagan gods were worshipped with imperial pomp. Today, on those very foundations, stands a faith that carries in its veins the blood of many dead gods. Catholicism, from the Greek katholikos meaning universal, was not born from a pure and singular revelation, but from a mosaic of traditions, doctrines, and rituals gathered from all corners of the empire and beyond. It is like a mythical creature assembled from parts of many bodies, a piece of Persian mitre, another of Egyptian Isis, a touch of Stoic philosophy, a breath of Druidism, and plenty of Roman incense. As Carl Jung once said, religions are elaborate systems of collective psychic projections, and Catholicism may be the most monumental of these projections. It did not destroy its rivals, it absorbed them. Like a black mirror, it reflected the gods of the past under new masks, renaming archetypes, adapting symbols, and transmuting the pantheon into saints, angels, and sacraments. Catholicism is not a creation ex nihilo, but a composite organism, a true spiritual Frankenstein, beautiful and horrifying, sacred and political, cosmic and imperial. Long before the first cross was ever raised, the world already knew of crucified saviors, virgin mothers, miracles, baptisms, and resurrections. There's no shortage of messianic figures that walked the mythical paths before Jesus of Nazareth was even named. Gerald Massey, in his extensive studies on parallels between Christianity and Egyptian myth, wrote, "Christ is Osiris Redivivus under a new name in a new garb, but with the same bones. In ancient Kemet, Osiris dies, is dismembered, resurrected by Isis, and becomes the judge of the dead in the afterlife. He dies out of love for humanity, teaches justice and righteousness, and is portrayed as the suffering and reborn God." The analogy with Jesus Christ is no mere coincidence. Its archetypal structure, the blood of the sacrificed God, also flows through Tammuz in Sumeradamus, in Syrian Greek cults, and Dionysus in Greek mythology, the god of wine, sacred madness, and ecstasy. All symbolize life that dies to return renewed, the eternal cycle of nature, soul, and cosmos. Christianity did not ignore them. It flourished on these fertile soils, cultivated by millennia of archetypal spirituality. The cult of Mithras, widespread among Roman soldiers, presented similarities that any Christian apologist might find embarrassing. Mithras was born of a virgin on December 25th, visited by shepherds, performed miracles, had 12 disciples, and held a Last Supper before ascending. His followers were baptized and marked with a sacred sign. His most important rite was the tribulum, where the blood of a sacrificed bull fell upon the initiate as a symbol of purification and rebirth. Over time, the bull became a lamb. In symbolic fields, this is not appropriation, but metamorphosis. Ancient religions were reborn under other names. Symbols do not die, they change masks. Joseph Campbell, in The Hero with a Thousand Faces, describes myths as universal structures of the human psyche. Virgin births, sacrificed saviors, glorious returns. These are not historical footnotes but spiritual scripts. Christianity, far from being a rupture, is a continuation of this eternal myth. Now dressed in Roman robes and scented with incense from the Temple of Jerusalem, the figure of Mary, the Mother of God, also carries this ancestral DNA. Before her was Isis holding baby Horus with the same expression of tenderness and power. In Egyptian iconography, Isis was already the universal mother, lady of light, bringer of heaven and earth's fruit. That image crossed centuries, was adopted by early Christians, and eventually canonized. The cross, too, is not a Christian invention. It appears in Babylonian, Druidic, and solar cults as a cosmic symbol. In Christianity, it becomes an instrument of pain and salvation. This is the essence of Catholic religious alchemy, renaming and transformation of old myths into a new doctrine. Even as Catholicism affirms the exclusivity of its truth, it carries the memory of previous cults. It is heir and usurper, temple, and theater. When a Catholic takes communion, they participate in a rite not born in Jerusalem but long before, around fires of initiatic tribes and mystery schools. Every empire needs a religion. Every religion that wishes to endure needs an empire. When Constantine saw the cross in the sky with the words, "In hoc signo vinces, in this sign you shall conquer," it wasn't mysticism, it was strategy. Christianity, once persecuted, became a tool of empire. The cross, once a mark of martyrdom, became a banner of war. The Council of Nicaea, in 325 CE, wasn't a gathering of saints but a political convention led by a newly converted pagan emperor. Christianity became an institution. Dogmas, hierarchies, official texts, armies. As Bart Ehrman explains in How Jesus Became God, the divinity of Jesus was not universally accepted but debated, voted on, and made official as political doctrine. Until then, many Christians saw Jesus as an enlightened master, not necessarily divine. The Trinity didn't exist yet. It was born from political theological negotiation. Gospels like that of Thomas, with its Gnostic message of inner kingdom, were silenced. They didn't support a church of power. Orthodoxy, as Walter Bauer observed, was often the heresy that won. The Pope became a spiritual Caesar, bishops formed a new senatorial curia, papal decrees were imperial laws enforced by excommunication, and sword. The church did not ally with empire, it became the empire in religious form. It was alchemy, spiritual soul fused with Roman power. The result was the Roman Catholic Church. Giordano Bruno paid with his life for denouncing this alliance, writing that the church stole ancient light to darken the world with golden shadows. Christian basilicas were raised on ruins of pagan temples. Physically and symbolically, columns, arches, architectural echoes remained. Catholic liturgy became Romanized, Latin became sacred. Priests' robes mirrored imperial garb. The altar became a throne. Incense, once burned for Isis and Dionysus, now rose for the one God, but the spirit underneath stayed similar. The Gnostic soul of Christianity was exorcised. The inward Christ was replaced by the institutional Christ. The mystery gave way to doctrine. Self-knowledge became obedience. Faith became contract. The altar became bureaucracy. Yet, something still breathed beneath the stone. Symbols still pulsed in glass and song. Though Catholicism merged with empire and lost some essence, it gained immortality. Like a Faustian bargain, it exchanged mystical soul for eternal power. That power would be used to reshape the world, absorbing and adapting local traditions. It did not conquer with swords alone, but with symbols. Catholicism baptized pagan rites. December 25th, once the rebirth of Sol Invictus became Christ's birthday. Horus, Mithras, Apollo, and Jesus now share a star. The goddess Ostara became Easter. Her eggs and rabbits now Christianized. Even the word Easter derives from her. Mary replaced goddesses of spring. Saints replaced ancient gods. Our Lady of Aparecida echoes Eumania. Saint Bridget was once the Celtic goddess, Bridget Saints her, a polytheistic pantheon under monotheistic guise. Saint George replaced Mars. Saint Barbara echoes Thor. Saint Michael fights chaos like ancient solar deities. Syncretism was central, not marginal. In Latin America, Africa, Asia, local religions were adapted. Orishas wore Marian veils. Aztec gods were renamed with holy water. Mircea Eliade explained, the sacred never disappears, it changes form. Trees became crosses, circles became halos, serpents became temptation. Gothic cathedrals built on pagan sites still show gargoyles, labyrinths from Eleusinian mystery paths. Stained glass echoing Mandalas. Catholicism is a palimpsest, a manuscript written over older texts. Scrape gently, and the old symbols emerge. This religious alchemy was not accidental. The structure of Mass is initiatory. Entrance, purification, illumination, sacrifice, communion. These mirror stages of esoteric initiation, preparation, revelation, symbolic death, rebirth. Yet this composite tapestry still needed a face. Catholicism gained one, and with it, the power to rule. If it were merely a religion, it would have died like others, but it survives. The book of Revelation speaks of a beast with many heads. Catholicism is not that literal beast, but a symbolic one, shape-shifting, ever-adapting. In Europe, it was inquisitorial. In America, missionary. In Africa, syncretic. In Asia, chameleon. The priest becomes druid. The altar becomes Zoroastrian. Gregorian chants echo Vedic mantras. Holy water mirrors Nile rituals. The Vatican is more than a state-say ritual theater. Umberto Eco said Catholicism turns symbols into dogma without losing ambiguity. It sails between opposites. Trinitarian, yet monotheistic. Ascetic, yet sensual. Masculine in dogma, maternal in icons. It is a sacred chameleon. Beneath the institution is a global psychic entity, a collective egregore formed of faith, fear, and power. Catholicism evolves. Vatican II opened its windows to the world. Today, we see masses with tribal dances, internet canonizations. The forms change, the mystery remains. Even those who leave the church are shaped by it. Its symbols linger in language, holidays, morality, literature. It is in the Western unconscious. Nietzsche once said Christianity was humanity's greatest misfortune. Catholicism is the dragon at the temple's door, not to be worshipped, but understood, confronted, transcended. Like all enduring religions, Catholicism is a living myth, a spiritual palimpsest, rewritten by each generation atop the remnants of the last. The divine is never what it appears to be, the name of God is only the first veil, and the mystery belongs to no church.